Hey there guys, Bad Fat Panda here, and I have another cast for you. This is actually going to be a TVZ, my bad. As you see the purple over on the minimap, this is going to be another Taeja game from his replay pack that Liquid introduced. And I'm not sure who this Korean Zerg is. I spent a little bit of time trying to figure out who it was, but my search really came up with nothing. And if anybody can translate Korean, feel free to post a comment. I would appreciate that very much. But I understand if you do not. And let's see. So this is going to be on Shakur's Plateau. An awful lot of completely insane, epic matches have taken place on this map, especially TVZ. Actually, it turns out. Recently, I guess. Well, I say recently, but a couple months back at the Blizzard Cup Finals, MMA versus DRG on this map was absolutely. Oh man, it was so much fun to watch that game. If you haven't seen it and you don't have a GSL patch, I'm sure it's on GSL Pass. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. So we're actually going to go ahead and start in these spawning positions. It's not cross, so a little bit of an advantage to the Terran from the get-go, I would say, because of this shared ground. I love it for Reapers. I generally open Reapers on this map in every single matchup. I would say even Terran versus Terran. So there's that to deal with. You also have the medevac drop. It's just a little bit shorter than going all the way. And generally, in order to avoid the watchtowers, you have to elongate the path even more, going in this L shape. But so that won't be dealt with. It's pretty good spawns for Taeja. I think you can be happy with that. And this is definitely the ladder map that has stayed in the game for a long, long period of time. Since SD2 came out, actually, I believe. Anyone can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I believe as soon as the actual alpha version was launched, it has been in the map pool the entire time. So, Zerg is going for a hatch first, followed by a pool. Generally, I guess this changes on ladder a little bit because you have to be careful, especially on this map with proxy 1111 Rex shenanigans. Generally, you see Zergs now going extractor before pool. It's a little bit greedier, but you get that added advantage of just getting your speed that much faster, where it can defend a lot of later pushes well, but earlier on, you may be in a little bit of trouble if you spent that extra 75 minerals, opposed to somebody going pool first. They can defend an 11-11 racks a little bit easier after a hatch. So Taeja's actually taken one out of Mr. Bitter's book and going for a Reaper opening. And I'm assuming he's expanding behind this as he is gathering up quite the mineral count. So, SCV was fine. I actually really like this timing. A lot of people scout Zerg too early, I feel. Same goes for Protoss. And aside from any sort of early pool play, the best you're going to find is like, I don't know, you get there, you see no hatch, and you get killed immediately. And that sort of opens up a door for, wait, he's all enemy with what, roaches, banelings? Is it some sort of speedling build? I don't know. But if you scout right as your barracks completes, especially if he's going hatch first, you're gonna find everything no problem. It'll be fine. So a command center and 2 more barracks coming down. This is a really common push we see in TVT a lot. It's becoming a little bit less common as more and more 1-1-1 Hellion openings are becoming popular again. The metagame goes through all of these phases that it just takes an awful lot of time for the matchups to develop, it seems, and then all of a sudden it goes by and there's a new strategy every week. So he's actually going forward with 2 Reapers here. I really like this because 2 Reapers for Zerg, it's not necessarily the 3 magic number where you can one-shot workers, but you can one-shot Zerglings like you see there. And the Reapers actually outrange the Queen too, so you can oftentimes get a lot of damage inflicted, and this is indirect damage as well with the Zerglings that are being built. He has, at the moment, 5 Zerglings. I'm assuming he's killed 3. So he's forced 10 Zerglings, so that's like 5, that's 250 minerals that he's not spending on drones. So I would say this is definitely worth it for Taeja. And he is following it up with the standard reactor. And yeah, this is this is one of the most common builds of all time in the Terran arsenal. You can really use it against any race. It works perfectly. And the combat shields gives you a timing for an earlier push. But generally you see a stim timing with this build because of the way that the reactors come out. And he's balancing his minerals quite nicely. His gas timing was actually quite far after his natural was completed. So I'm interested to see what kind of timing he pushes out with. I will probably see +1. I'm expecting to see +1. And these speedlings, the Reapers, need to be careful. Oh, you should definitely hold position on the cliff there. But this is a really great way to abuse the map with Reapers. I love opening on this map with Reapers. They're amazing. And unfortunately, Taeja wasn't actually paying attention there. He lost a Reaper needlessly. It's quite saddening. But I'm sort of interested that he's not getting a third gas. I would assume that this means he's going for a relatively earlier third base. And I really like this. He scouts that many Zerglings and he says, well, I know roaches aren't coming, so I'm just going to go ahead and pre-spread my Marines in case of a Baneling bust. If you play Bio, this is a really good thing to get in the habit of doing. Oftentimes early game you will not have that many things that you need to do around the map. It's a really good use of your APM just to go ahead and split them. With these 4 gas up, I would assume that we're seeing some sort of Spire build, and especially with this Baneling nest coming down. It's becoming a little more in vogue in Korea to throw down this macro hatchery before you actually get a third, especially on this map as it is relatively hard to defend. And most Terrans by now actually go ahead and center their push timing around destroying that third base. So something Taeja is going to have to deal with is the creep spread of our Zerg. It is getting pretty up there with the macro queen for spawning larvae. Let's see, he is getting a third gas now, and meanwhile we do have a Spire on the way. And is he starting +1 carapace first? This is something that's become... Yeah, so he is... Alright. It's becoming increasingly common in Korean Zerg versus Terrans to open with carapace first. And let's see. I want to see what scouting information our Zerg player has at the moment. Yeah, it's nothing. So he sees that there's an expansion mining. And Taeja is actually going ahead and pushing out. With just Marines, his medevacs will probably rally forward, and he's going to do a +1 timing. I really like this push. It's something, I believe I have a video of me using this in TVP with just Marines. It's a little bit riskier in TVP, but oftentimes, especially with Stim, you have the ability to retreat whenever you feel the need to. And a really nice spread by Taeja. Let's see how much he does damage. I really want to see, let's see. I'm interested to see if he uses a scan here. I guess he's just playing around with this. It's really, if you spread too much against Zerglings, without medevacs especially, you risk losing them in little groups here. Like, see how this group was cordoned off? He lost all of those needlessly, whereas, oh, that one Baneling, if he could have gotten it, that would have been, that would have possibly been a lot of damage done. And we see 9 Mutalisks actually coming. So the Zerg is not worried at all. He's just trying to stall at this point until his Mutalisks come out. Then he can kill the medevacs and be all happy. Because they are dead. The third has actually completed at this point, but we haven't seen that much damage. Oh, and he focuses the full medevac first. That was not a coincidence. I'm sure he saw that, and then with the Zerglings on follow, he could actually determine which one was the full one. So huge props to him. Oh, as soon as he saw the Mutalisks, I guess he decided to call off this double drop here. Is he going to fake? No, he's just going in position to deter these Mutalisks. Meanwhile, we do have a turret going up. Koreans are a lot different from foreigners in that they don't like turrets at all. You see a lot of Korean Terrans, even Select falls victim to this a lot. He just never builds turrets. Doesn't matter what the matchup is, unless they're going DTs or something like that. Cloak Banshees. Even Cloak Banshees, you rarely see him getting turrets. It's just that Korean mentality. Let's see. The Zerg is just continuing to drone up. We do see +1 flyer on the way as well as +1 melee. I would really like to see another Evo chamber, but that's not really common with this style. Zergling upgrades are just so good. And we actually see the queen energy is like ridiculously low. It's very... Nest-T was really one of the first Zergs to consistently have ridiculously low queen energy. And by now, the game has sort of evolved to where it's becoming relatively common for pro level gamers to have continuously low queen energy. I like this random marine here. It may sort of deter. Oftentimes you'll see if the Zerg sees like maybe 1 or 2 marines stem forward, they retreat immediately with the mutalisks in the assumption that there will actually be more there. Oh wow. Our Zerg loses 2 mutalisks there. It's definitely not, and possibly even 1 more. Yeah. 3 mutas have gone down so far. There's still another missile turret, and I really don't agree with this. Oh. That's the one thing he had in his benefit, though. It was hard for the SCVs to get a repair off. Although now the mutalisks are cornered if he actually pulls some more marines down to here. Or he's going to take this opportunity to push forward. I know that the Zerg was repositioning in order for push. It's often a really good time to push right when you're in the middle of harassing. I don't necessarily agree with Taeja unsieging all of his tanks here, but he certainly has the micro to do so. Let's see how many banelings we have. Only 15. It's a little bit of a low baneling count, but the Zergling count is nearing 100. And our Zerg player is maxed. Taeja near maxed with, let's see, 1-2 upgrades. His +2 armor is nearly finished. And that all-important +1 vehicle weapons, that actually makes tanks one-shot Zerglings. So it's so important. And alright, Zerg decided to go in for the kill. So far everything's looking good. He's splitting his banelings again, which I really like. He really needs to be careful to not blow up those banelings on tanks. Alright, that was a really cost-efficient engagement. And now he can pretty much get the third. Oh, if those banelings connect. No. Wow, so I'm assuming all of the games were Taeja's victories, but it's kind of interesting getting to this point and wondering how he's really doing. This drop, wow. This drop was never cleaned up, and he's killed a fair amount of mutalisks at this point. If we take a look at the units lost tab, I believe that that's mostly in favor of the mutalisks. And that last engagement seemed quite cost-effective for our Zerg player. Taeja is continuing to move up with the Watchtower vision right here. And he is forcing more banelings being made. I think at this point, looking at these 2 armies, I think the mutalisks with the Zerglings would be able enough to take out the army without morphing more banelings in, but I think he just wanted to be safe. Oftentimes in spectator vision, it's really easy to critique and judge from a all observer view, but if you're actually playing, you have very little vision. When I first played Zerg for the first couple times, it was really scouting is definitely not not that easy when you're Zerg. Terran, you can just scan whenever you please. Really nice. I really like this forward positioning. He's taken out enough of the creep, and he is maintaining both of the watchtowers so that he can get into this position and he knows he's going to be safe. The Zerg, meanwhile, is definitely short on gas, and it's been limiting the amount of banelings he can produce. With these splits, I don't think that there's a really cost-effective way to engage this Terran without his tanks unsieging first. Taeja just being a little bit of an asshole, and taking this opportunity to move forward all of his tanks and marines. So now he has to come out, now the Zerg is forced to come out of this choke, and the tanks are all in position of sieging this. So with some knights splits, oh, he's even going to take these marines, and I like this play. Let's see, Zerg is now taking this opportunity to come forward, and he's just going for it. He split the Zerglings a little bit, but this is not going to be cost effective for him regardless of how he micros it. The mutas are now forced to actually retreat off of this, although he does have 1-1. Oh wow. He had more mutalisks than I gave him credit for. Taeja trying to manage all of his reinforcement rallies. Done pretty nicely. I'd like it if he could pick off this little bit of creep over here. But since he has both watchtowers, it's really not the most necessary thing in the world. This Overlord, of course, preventing a third base from being taken. And we have... Let's take a look at the workers killed. 61 workers so far from our Zerg player. That Mutalisk Harass is just doing wonders. And I believe the second half of the Mutalisk actually came over from here. So I'm assuming that they destroyed this mineral line as well. I'm sorry I didn't catch that, guys. I really wanted to get this video out because I know I've been absurdly busy in the week prior. And I just wanted to go ahead and get a video out, despite the fact that it's the end of the day. I'd really like it if he spreads these SCVs out. They're way oversaturated. Let's see. The Zerg has been using these Mutalisks to really just keep the Terran in his base. And whenever he's pushing acknowledging the fact that he's going to lose some SCVs in the process. Nice drop catch right there. The Overlord coverage is pretty good as well. This is really the only position lacking. Especially without holding these watchtowers, you really want to have an Overlord over there. So, I don't believe that there is hive tech on the way yet, no. This is a very fast hives are really still not coming into play a lot in Korean games. But generally, because it's generally a foreigner thing. I know Damaga has recently been doing some absurdly fast hive timings. I was watching a ZBZ of his that he got an 8-minute infestation pit. It's just... that is absurd. And we do have the Mutalisk going in for a counterattack as well. I would really like some Thors. And leaving these tanks in the open is really risky, but I think he felt that he could pull it off. Let's see how many Mutalisks that is, because that's just an insane... 23, and he's already lost about 5 so far. Meanwhile, we have more on the way. Only 15 Banelings though, so he's definitely using all of his gas allotment into Mutaplay. Nice splits here. Let's see if he gets target fires off on those Banelings. Without Infestors, this is just really hard to engage. Oh wow, that was really well done by Taeja. We see the resource differential is nearing 40,000 at this point. Oh, that was poor. The Banelings on the tank there might well have ended the game for him. One thing you can always do on this map is after you take the watchtower out, just try and hide some Banelings around here so that they can flank in, or even Zerglings do this function the same way. And now like 3-3 Marines, or 3-2 Marines, sorry, are just so ridiculously cost effective against non-hive tech Zerg. This is really the point that with the Ghost nerf, the Terrans are just deciding, hey, you know, we need to end the game before it gets to late game. I think you see that that's why Taeja is so hesitant to take a 4th base on this map. And he's even floating his command center now to a new location. We do see that the Zerg is ahead in supply at this point, but look at the worker differential. He's up 40 workers, so it's really Taeja has the army supply lead. The Zerg might actually go ahead and attempt to base trade at this point, and I think he'd have a relatively easy shot at doing so. Although there are a fair amount of Marines in the field. But the medevacs are nearly all out of energy now. Only the 2 new reinforcement medevacs have some healing capability. And Taeja is actually strapped for cash right now, so it's definitely not unwinnable for the Zerg at all. With 4 Infestors coming out, if he can engage this well, he definitely has a shot at winning. I would say coming back, although I feel that he had the early lead. It was really Taeja coming back into this game with some great aggression all game long. When I watch Koreans micro their Marines, I always think of a Slinky. Oh, beautiful fungals. I think that that's a phrase that's really overused, but those were actually very nice fungals. If he can snipe the tank, I guess he's... Oh, wow. I would definitely have not called the Mutalisk to win over the Marines there. But if he can snipe these medevacs at this point, I don't see Again, I'm at a loss for our Terran player to come back into this. I don't see how it's really possible. This is, I mean, 600 minerals and 600 gas if he manages to kill all of those. Even without that, though, he lost so many tanks, so many marines. At this point, every unit counts. Although I believe that oh no, he still has a layer up, so he can rebuild all of his layer tech. The infestation pit did go down though. We saw him having to rebuild a spawning pool. That's why there really weren't any reinforcement lings. Yeah, he's gonna have to push with drones here as well. I'd like him to mineral click his drones and then A move behind the. You know, it looks like the Zerg is in a really good position to take this actually. He should pull his drones back now though. His Mutalisk can easily take the rest of the Marines with no medevacs out. So if we take a look at the updated worker count, 48 to 31. He actually is floating his natural. This is a really scrappy game. I like this. I love watching games like this because it's really interesting. It's a position that you often don't find. You don't often find a lot of pro games to end like this. It's sort of those like rough and tumble ladder games that that we play that really eminent this style. Alright, with this infestation pit going down and only one infestor able to come out because of the gas count, it's gonna be really interesting. I'm gonna take a look at the units. Units tab over here. 12 Mutalisks and 10 Zerglings. Wow, that is really not enough. Those Marines are so heavily upgraded and the medevacs have just enough energy to take this engagement. And at this point that looks like it's going to be game. Wow. So this was actually a really good game. I was surprised. I thought that... Oh, and no GG. I thought that Taeja was definitely in the red. I didn't see him coming back, but that was definitely a very, very well executed. I mean, those times that he attacked, it's really difficult to make the decision as Terran, because when you have Mutalisks trying to base trade you, or at least kill LCVs in your stead, it's really tough to go ahead and sack all of those SCVs in the hopes that you would do damage against an obviously superior force. It was very nice micro. So yeah, this was definitely a really fun TVZ to broadcast, commentate, stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you did, click the like button, all that jazz, and follow me on Twitter. I'll put my link and my stream link in the description. I will be streaming tomorrow on Saturday. Of course, I'm commentating this on Friday. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a good weekend.